Hey everyone, welcome to today's video and welcome to the channel. If you are new, please do subscribe, hit that bell button, like and comment. If you've not yet done so, please do check out our courses. You can get on a free one or you can check out our paid CPD one. So we're going to start off with some fundamentals first because we did this a few days ago. I do apologise. The 10th of December we published this to members. Interesting stuff coming out, by the way. A lot of news, and it kind of makes me scary and wondering what's next for the crypto space. We'll come on to that in a minute in terms of me not wanting to short things because it's a bit too sketchy. Obviously the greed is horrendous, as you can see. But the EU on the blockchain, the European Commission is inviting tenders for the European Union blockchain pre-commercial procurement, or PPC. So there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of interest in the bigger side of the world in terms of banks, institutions, and now obviously the EU. So what does it mean for us? It means, yeah, adoption, it means eyeballs, it means marketing, whatever. But it's a huge thing to kind of develop and have as a blockchain anyway, regardless, whatever industry you're in. But the fact that this is kind of looking at it, it's kind of important. So stand by with that one. The next one is obviously the more interesting news, in my opinion, is obviously the data aggregate showing that the surge of crypto is kind of coming and combining with the fact of gold disappearing a little bit. When you look at the charts historically, when you look at the dollar index, you tend to see when that dumps a little bit, the world of the gold and crypto tend to go together. What we've seen actually in the last few weeks is kind of interesting when I've been doing analysis on it. What we've seen recently is the dollar dies a little bit, which it has done since the stimulus checks and whatnot. But gold hasn't actually gone with it. It's kind of dumped at the same time. It's like, whoa, hold on a minute. That's a bit weird. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. And when you look at the fact of the reports here that up to 9.2 billion over the last 4 weeks has kind of, been as a part of a gold investment, there's also been an inflow of 1.4 billion to Bitcoin, which is huge realistically. When you think the comparison that gold is worth $9 trillion overall, and what's Bitcoin worth? Well, a small sliver of that into the billions. So yeah, I've said it before, I've been very, very public with this. I think the COVID crash and the recovery has made people notice what Bitcoin is and what Ethereum and all kinds of what cryptocurrency is all about, really. And that's important. Gone are the days where people are scared of investing. There's public outcries. Oh, look at MicroStrategy, for example. Look at Grayscale. They're going public. Pleased I'm investing in this, let's go for it. So it's huge. So obviously here, CoinShares estimate that Grayscale received more than 336 million in investments during the last week alone. Ooh. So there's loads of interest coming in at the moment. Blockstacks rallying. Most important thing in the world, if you're looking at any project, if you look for a mainnet, just a top tip, if you look for mainnets, they tend to pump quite severely. Fundamentals have improved and the key mainnet launch approaches. Blockstacks is actually quite decent. It's one that I need to cover more. I do need to put it on my channel. As it mentions here, they've been around for a while, but they've founded in 2013, raised money as Union Squares Ventures, la. They're good. They've got a lot of interest. They've got a lot of information coming out as well regarding their mainnet. But yeah, it is massive. It's a massive company. It's backed by some big people, which is sometimes you don't often see. Certainly there's some coins that I do like to invest in that do, or at least use, especially if you're doing certain services that have got big backers. If you've got big backers, it's usually quite good because obviously they've got a little bit of a get out of free jail card there if they have backers. If they're just self-funding, if they're just an ICO that's got a pot of gold, usually a bit dodgy. Moving on to the world of Orion Protocol. Phase 1 of their mainnet as well. Another one. Mainnets are a big thing. Like I've always said this, as I just mentioned before, right? If you've found a project that is still on let's just say a native blockchain, so for example an ERC20, or it's on a main blockchain of, a piggyback essentially, they're just using someone else's blockchain. If you know that in the future there is going to be a mainnet, there's always a rollout and there's always some sort of push to the upside. The likes of RSI is still on Ethereum, and its chances are it will have a mainnet off the chain onto its own. That'll probably do well, realistically, but it's the same as this. So there's going to be all kinds of information, and if you look at the price of this has really went bang over the last few weeks. So yeah, some fundamentals for you. Very, very easy, very, very simple. And back to the charts. Now, we need to talk about this because this is very, very important. Now, I mentioned at the start of this video, not too convinced about pressing the short button on altcoins as much as they look like they should be shorted. It's risky because of this. Like, when you look overall, Bitcoin and Ethereum have formed a normal retracement, a nice little correction, as you can see by this level. On our live Zoom, what we did on premium members a few days ago, I identified this level, this wick on the 618. It was perfect tap. It's like, oof, on the nose, right? Now, what we've seen here, let me just change its color to a little bit of a goldy color, just because why not? Oh, that's a text button. Oopsie. Go gold. Hello. What we've identified is that level. It's at a double tap. It looks pretty much on the nose, perfection for the uptrend, and it's probably going to go for the all-time high retest again, or we're going to range here. And I personally, bias is I want it to do that. I want us now, as boring as it could be, to just range in here for a bit. If it goes up to like January, February time and we range at this top level, which is possible, we're starting, maybe, who knows, a bit too early, but it could be very, very good for altcoins overall. But the reason why I'm not pressing the short button on any altcoins at the moment is for two reasons. Reason number one, the dominance chart in December historically goes down. That would indicate that alt will probably push. A Santa rally may be upon us. What we need is perfect conditions for that. What we've had over the last few weeks is a really hard section of trading opportunities, in my opinion, overall. When you look at this region here, we've had a massive dump, we've had a push back up. Like, they are volatile. These are not small, by the way. Just to look at historic sort of sections here, if we're looking at that alone, okay, in basically, well, 2 days. In 2 days, we've had a 16% drop. That's a big drop, right? Within the following 3 days, we've corrected and went higher than it. And then we've had a few little spikes. These are like little 6-7% spikes in 1 day candles. They're very, very hard to read the market when that happens, especially in the daily time frame. Trend analysis is hard to read. It's very choppy, and also altcoins don't flow. When the altcoins flow though, and when they do flow nicely, it will give you high reward, basically. So what we need this to continue a range, in my opinion. Personally, it could blast us through all-time highs, and then the eyeballs and the media and the attention will be on Bitcoin. Then we might see a spillover into altcoins. But I think overall, profits will be taken and put into altcoins on a ranging, steady, stable Bitcoin market. So we've got to be careful. Moving forward though, what could happen, kind of mentioned it, range is an opportunity, but also we could pull back as well. Realistically, we could pull back. If this has formed a new low and we're continuing this trend, we could just be going this way. A slow, gradual decline in price would be nice. No volatility spikes would be good for altcoins anyways, even if we do trickle down to this 16k level over a period of weeks, not a day, which is what's happened in the past. So just be careful with it. Personally, it's all right. Moving on to Ethereum again, another situation where we formed a higher low, which is good. Whereas some of the coins have not formed a higher low, which is why I'm dubious on shorting them. I'll explain in a second. So again, Ethereum's looking quite good. Realistically, it's healthy. It's had a nice little correction to the 618 and it's popped up again, looking good. As I said before with Bitcoin, we have formed a potential to go down, maybe, who knows. Maybe a bit too early to say that. But the fundamentals are clear. In my opinion, I think this is still looking healthy, it's looking fine, because we have formed a nice support level as a low. We haven't broken structure, we've not gone too low, we're not crashed and burned, basically, and just started a reset. It's still got demand, it's still got buyers, and still a lot of things coming out with Ethereum to keep an eye on. So for me, personally, in my opinion, I think this is looking absolutely fine and dandy. I wouldn't worry too much about it, but what I would say is this: just be careful of potential resistance levels, which is going to be getting quite muggy up here. But as I said before, if Bitcoin ranges, if spillover comes in and hype goes into Ethereum, and what we keep seeing as well is all the time. We're seeing little articles drop every time there's a correction. Oh, Grayscale have just bought X amount. It's like, oh God, how much? So we've got to be mindful that fundamental news and kind of development overall in that sense will push this higher than when we want it to. Remember with crypto, the higher it goes, you know, the more interesting people are going to get to it. It's just one of those things. Moving on to the likes of Chainlink though. Now this is the one that we need to talk about in a bit more detail. The reason why this looks like a good opportunity for a short, now I'm not going to play it because, as I've kind of mentioned, I'm kind of a bit risk averse with this because of said Bitcoin still forming an uptrend. So is Ethereum. This is forming a downtrend, right? You can see that it's kind of obvious. Where it's formed a low, so it's formed a high, low, lower high, lower low, right? It's forming a downtrend. This is like a perfect situation, but as I say, when Bitcoin is bullish overall and Ethereum is also bullish too, and you've got the likes of MicroStrategy, Grayscale, etc. buying up bags of Bitcoin and Ethereum like they're going out of fashion, it's not the sort of situation to be short in the altcoin that's kind of very, very dominant in the DeFi space and the Oracle space, which is Chainlink. So I'm not going to do it. I don't see the point. I'd rather just sit and wait and see what happens. I'd rather get the reversal on the uptrend going forward into the future than just get this little, yes, it might be a great risk reward, it might be a good one, but there's always that caveat that what if a big announcement drops and this just pumps, because it could happen, spillover happens, and this has a lot of eyeballs, Chainlink. So it's not worth it, not worth the risk in my opinion. But if you like scalping on the shorter time frames, this might be a good opportunity as a rejection. But for me, on the daily time frame, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking of the news, I'm thinking of why Bitcoin's bullish. The chances of a 15% drop overall may happen, but I don't think it's worth the risk at the moment as it stands. There's too much interest, there's too many eyeballs, and if a stimulus check is dropped in America, this is not going to go down, is it? So that's why I'm thinking that. But overall, if I'm thinking technical analysis as a sole entity, it looks fine. But there's so much fundamentals right now, there's so much development of interest, buyers. It's like not worth that risk at all, especially if you go too one-dimensional. The same sort of situation with Litecoin. However, I don't think this is going to drop neither. The reason being, I'm going to edit this now because yes, we're going into resistance levels. We may drop down. We may not. I don't think we're going to go down here. We're going to go down to here, I think. But overall, what's actually happened here? Let me just remove all the noise. We've actually still formed an uptrend. Right, realistically we've still got this absolute monumental kind of roop, hello, all this sort of section here, it's still going upwards. Obviously that's a crap trend line, but you can see the situation here. If you go and do the impulse here, we've hit the 786 and we've whoomp. Personally, if I think it's going to happen, I think we're going to go down to here, this weekly kind of level of support, which is probably the most obvious place to be. But again, that would indicate, again, if it does bounce off this, it's still an uptrend. So just got to be careful with this. Remember with Litecoin, it moves very, very, very well with Bitcoin. You got to be careful. So as much as it looking, oh God, like rejected, double top, whatever, it still forms a higher low. So just got to be very, very careful with this one, in my opinion. And we'll look finally at XRP. The reason being, why not? I've not really been that interested in it. I think the fundamentals of this have just kind of ruined it a little bit in terms of overall entity, that people are going to dump it, and it's starting to show that sign. I personally think we are going to go down to 43 cents. Reason being, the obvious, like when you look at this overall, like for me, if you're looking at this as a bottom, it's like perfect as well in that situation. So if you've got this, starting this impulse, we're going to pull back in. I think we're going to pull back up to 55, 56 and probably roll over to 42. And then maybe if worst case scenario goes, we could actually go down to this level, 34, which is perfect kind of situation. Maybe 31, who knows. But for me, I think it's like anything. It's hot for a bit, it's not for a while. You got to be careful with that. The airdrop of Flare or Spark token, whatever it is, it's going to be very, very fundamentally important to why this pumped. And it's got to carry on. In my opinion, if I'm thinking long term, the chances of it just doing this and just, it should hold on here, but it is holding, right, 50 cents. But again, perfect symmetry with all this level is 43 cents. If it's going to do anything, it'll go down to 43, then probably go from there and find a good little demand zone and carry on going to the upside. But we need a lot of information, we need a lot of interest, we need a lot of institutional buy-in of this, and I don't think it's going to happen just yet. I think too many eyeballs are on Bitcoin and on Ethereum and other situations like that. So, could be careful. Overall, I do think this is going to come down because of the hype and the marketing of it. It's kind of dying down. But as I say, alt season's around the corner. We may get a massive spillover of profit into this range here, which is a 618. Zoom, off we go. Could happen. A lot of people look at those levels, especially with XRP as well. So, there you go. Good morning. Hope you're well. Enjoy this video. Like I say, if you are on YouTube watching this, this is a premium video. We do these every single day. Please like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you've not yet done so, check out our 7-day free trial. And yeah, jump in and enjoy.